Right now, the search for a missing Wisconsin boy comes to a tragic end. The update from law enforcement on the case of Elijah Vu. Plus, creating a greener future. The plan being put forward to make Madison more environmentally friendly. And the streets of downtown will be packed with football fans. What this weekend's game could mean for local businesses. That's all ahead on News 3 Now at 10.
It is with a heavy heart that I announce to you today those remains were identified as Elijah Vu. This is not the outcome that we hoped for. The family's devastated, we're devastated, our community's devastated.
That was Two Rivers Police Chief Ben Minard revealing the human skeletal remains found on private property 6 days ago on September 9th are indeed that of 3-year-old Elijah Vu, ultimately drawing the roughly 7th-month search to a tragic conclusion. Our Maddie Hines joins us with a breakdown of the search at this point and what comes next in the case. Maddie?
Armand, like you said, those remains just identified this evening as belonging to 3-year-old Elijah Vu. Now, the community has rallied around the 3-year-old over the past several months, so I spoke with a law enforcement expert for more insight into how officials can now fight for justice in the case.
Whenever anybody harms a child, it hurts a lot deeper. For not only just the public, but the family, for police, for prosecutors, all of that.
Law enforcement expert Brian Landers walks through next steps now that Vu's missing persons investigation has turned into a death investigation.
Yeah, they're going to be looking at, obviously what type of condition the body is in, and again, the environmental factors, how the body was disposed. Even the mechanism of how the body was disposed.
According to Two Rivers Police, Vu's body was found on private property by a local deer hunter in an area just miles from where the boy had originally been reported missing.
This area had been searched several times, as had been reported, by law enforcement searches, by private searches, by the landowner, by air, and with various search and rescue teams.
Landers says despite the time passed since Vu had disappeared, investigators should still be able to gather effective evidence.
Detailed DNA evidence that could be found either on the body or clothing, or even the area surrounding the body, bone structure, any tissue structure, anything like that.
Landers says DNA, entomology, and psychological experts will now begin working together to develop a case in hopes of bringing justice to Elijah. On February 20th, Vu's caretaker and mother's boyfriend, Jesse Vang, reported the child missing. By February 26th, both Vang and Vu's mother, Katrina Bauer, were charged with felony child neglect. They'd eventually both plead guilty. Then on March 18th, Two Rivers Police confirmed they found a blanket belonging to Elijah less than 4 miles from where he was last seen. And of course, on September 7th, Manitowoc County officials found human remains on private property. We'll continue to follow this story and keep you updated both on air and online at channel3000.com.
Maddie, thank you. Tonight, we're covering campaign efforts from Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. We're less than 2 months away until November elections, and both candidates have been making multiple stops in Wisconsin, one of the most important battleground states this election. Today, it was Democratic nominee for VP Tim Walz's turn once again. He stopped in Wausau to rally supporters. Braden Ross has more from up north.
These are the hands of the volunteers. Tim Walz came here to Wausau to encourage today because winning Battleground Wisconsin is all hands on deck.
Governor Tim Walz.
He was here at the Whitewater Music Hall and Brewery to rally and thank the supporters that have been working hard to get himself and Kamala Harris to the White House this fall. He touched on many of the top campaign issues for the Harris-Walz ticket, from IVF and fertility treatments to democracy. He also spoke about the war in Ukraine, saying he stopped at a Ukrainian bakery here in Wausau. He specifically called out former President Trump, who was asked during the debate this week if he thinks it would be a good thing for Ukraine to win the war with Russia. Trump didn't answer that question directly. Walz says he should have been able to.
Standing in the Ukrainian bakery in Wausau, Wisconsin, in front of Ukrainians whose country's at war defending democracy, the answer is simple. Ukraine must win the war.
And you might be wondering, why come to Wausau when it's fairly conservative? Walz addressed that too.
Truly, this election is going to go through a few states, and in one of them is Wisconsin. It's going to go through a few counties. And I know people say, well, you know, it's a little redder county or whatever. It's about reducing the margins. It's about pulling things down. It's about the swing states.
Walz is continuing his efforts here in Wisconsin with a stop in Superior tomorrow. Reporting in Wausau, Braden Ross, News 3 Now.
We also learned today Walz's counterpart on the Republican ticket, J.D. Vance, will be back in Wisconsin next week. He's scheduled to hold a rally in Eau Claire next Wednesday. Well, a local government puts forth its plan to combat environmental pollution. The city of Madison has released its 2024 sustainability plan. The roadmap is used to cut climate pollution, improve environmental quality, and ensure the health and well-being of all residents. It includes 24 goals organized into 8 elements of a sustainable city. Those include quality, affordable housing, zero waste, and clean water. Ultimately, the city of Madison has the goal of achieving 100% renewable energy and zero net carbon emissions for city operations by 2030.
It is something that we need to accomplish if we're going to reduce climate pollution in our atmosphere and make sure that we reduce the impacts of climate change, both right here in our community, but also around the world.
Every year, city departments will provide a memo detailing the progress they've made over the past year. Every 4 to 5 years, the Sustainability and Resilience Program will provide an overall report on the plan's progress. Well, we're looking at a warm weekend as college football fans flood into Madison for the big game tomorrow. Let's check in with meteorologist Blaze Keller for how hot it's going to be, Blaze.
We're going to hang out in the low 80s for your Saturday and Sunday. A little bit more cloud cover, and we'll add back that chance for some scattered showers and non-severe thunderstorms later into your Saturday. I think through tailgating and even most of the game, if not all the game, we should be dry here at Camp Randall. Clouds are continuing to build on in. These are out ahead of what was at one time Hurricane Francine. She's since quickly fallen apart. We're not going to tap into a lot of her rain, but we will squeeze out some showers as we go into your day tomorrow. 50s and 60s, some of us still near 70 at this hour underneath mostly clear to mostly cloudy conditions. That's a very loud plane. I apologize, folks. We're hanging out in the upper 50s to low 60s tonight. Not expecting any rain this evening. It's more or less going to begin as we go into the afternoon hours through the early evening hours on your Saturday. So quiet for this evening and through most of your Saturday. We are going to track out maybe some rain day chances moving in by the following weekend. We'll track that out here in just a few minutes.
All right, Blaze, thank you. And now to continuing coverage of the 3 fires in downtown Madison that police say are connected. A person of interest is in custody in connection to these fires. All 3 were set within an hour of each other early Wednesday morning. One of them on West Washington left 6 students displaced and $500,000 in damages. We spoke with those students today, and they say they've been staying with friends and family.
Yeah, we've had so many great people offer, our neighbors have done so much for us, even just helping us get stuff out with us even asking, just everyone, the community has been so kind, and we have friends across the street who were making us food, let us crash, everything. They were whatever's ours is yours, take the place to yourselves.
The fires are still under investigation. And the Madison Fire Department rescued a man after his truck rolled into the water at a local boat launch. Shortly before noon, MFD crews were called to the Olbrich Park boat launch. There, first responders found a man trapped in his truck with water coming up to his chest. A rescue rope was tethered to an MPD squad car to prevent the vehicle from moving. Crews were able to then pull the man from the truck. The vehicle was then retrieved from the water using a tow cable. Well, the University of Alabama is in the Badger State to play at Camp Randall. That could mean a big boost to businesses in downtown Madison. The president of downtown Madison says most home football games generate $19 million in revenue, but this one could hit above $25 million. He also says hotels have been booked up for a while now ahead of the game. And for the businesses preparing, there's a lot of work that goes into getting ready.
There is a lot of work that goes into it. All of the food and beverage needs to be ordered. Need to make sure the hotel rooms are prepared and ready to go. The conference spaces are ready to go. You'll see a significant amount of conferences. So all of these things need to be prepared and ordered well ahead of time.
He also says staffing plays a huge role in making a game day go smoothly downtown. And when we come back, Blaze will tell us about what that weather's going to be like for the Badger game in his full forecast. Plus, it's week 4 of the final drive. Zach and Andrew will have your local highlights right after the break.
Welcome to Washington, D.C. You got a bunch of loudmouth, preening politicians. It's absolute chaos. I'm Derek Van Orden, and after 26 years as a Navy SEAL, there's a few things that I learned. You stay on mission, you know what you're fighting for, and sometimes you gotta get a little dirty to finish the job. Let's go, kids. Not you. Not you. You. Let's go. I'm Derek Van Orden. I approve this message.
When a crane collapsed during construction of a Major League sports stadium, 3 workers lost their lives. Their widows called us. When maintenance workers were permanently injured by an industrial accident at a public utilities power plant, the 7 injured workers called us. When a factory exploded, injuring dozens of workers, 18 victims, including all 3 families of men who lost their lives, called us. Because Wisconsinites know who to call when it's a must-win scenario. They call Habish, Habish & Rotier. National reputation, hometown service.
If there's one thing we like, it's choices. Find yours with Ford F-150. Gas, hybrid, or all electric. Whether it's towing, powering up, or getting from 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds, what you choose to do with that much power is up to you. Tough this smart can only be called F-150.
Choose FlexBuy on F-150 and get 0.9% APR financing for 66 months, plus $2,000 FlexBuy cash and $1,000 low APR cash.
This September, it's time to celebrate Portage Furniture's anniversary sale. For decades, we've been a staple of our downtown community, and we're proud of those roots. We've built a reputation for quality service and beautiful forever furniture, and you can save on all of the top brands: Smith Brothers, Flex Steel, Lazy Boy, Serta mattresses, and always free delivery. Shop local this September at Portage Furniture's anniversary sale. Don't you just love a good reason to celebrate?
Old windows? Compromise your home's comfort. Vinyl windows, a 1970s relic, aren't built for extreme weather. They warp and crack, becoming vulnerable to the elements. At Next Door in Window, we have the answer: fiberglass. Our Ultrex fiberglass windows last up to 50 years, longer than any other window you can buy. And while other companies cut corners and never call you back, we've got your back. When you demand tomorrow's comfort, Next delivers. Visit nextwindow.com to learn more.
As a prosecutor, I never asked a victim or a witness, are you a Republican or a Democrat? The only thing I ever asked them, are you okay? And that's the kind of president we need right now. Someone who cares about you and is not putting themselves first. I intend to be a president for all Americans and focus on investing right now in you, the American people. And we can chart a new way forward. I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Students have a lot of power and influence over how this election is going to turn out.
I'll show you how young voters are getting their voices heard and the impact this could have in November. 3 for the People, Monday on News 3 Now at 6.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
Tens of thousands of residents are still without power after Hurricane Francine made landfall in Louisiana. Thursday, the storm weakened as it moved inland, but it drenched parts of New Orleans. Footage posted to social media shows conditions after a flash flood rushes through the neighborhood of Bucktown. Around 120,000 homes and businesses are without power due to the storm. And clouds are set to roll into the Madison area overnight. Let's check in with meteorologist Blaze Keller for our rain chances over the weekend. Blaze?
That's right. These are all out ahead of what was once Francine. We were never anticipating getting a lot of her rain, unfortunately, because of how the atmosphere set up. And it's continuing to set up in a way that we're going to remain mainly dry here over the next 7 days, only adding rain chances in by not this upcoming weekend, but that following weekend. Since August 30th, the Madison area and a lot of southern Wisconsin has not seen any beneficial or meaningful rain. Our total over the last 2 weeks has only been 0.02 of an inch, and we got just shy of an inch back on August 30th. So we could use some rain. The grass is certainly getting a little bit drier, more straw-like, but I'll talk about here in just a moment about why actually this has been a fairly wet and hot year so far for the state of Wisconsin. The bigger picture is parts of Wisconsin, western parts of Wisconsin, they're on the edge of this big area of high pressure, which is why farther north and west tomorrow and even into Sunday, you're going to have the better chance for scattered showers and a few non-severe thunderstorms as we head into your afternoon. You're seeing those clouds move off towards the northeast. They're following the jet stream. So that means folks farther south and east, we're not really being able to tap into any of that available moisture. It's being pushed to our north into parts of northern Wisconsin, if not further into the UP, into parts of Canada. So the even bigger picture is, see that big blue circle? That's an area of high pressure. On its edge is where we find the remnants of Francine, where we find the cloud cover. Within that bubble, you get sinking air, and that really is not what showers, thunderstorms, or even clouds like. They want that air to rise into the atmosphere. So until that area of high pressure, and it's large, either pushes further into the Atlantic or falls apart, we're not going to tap into a lot of rain. In fact, over the next 7 days, it's very hard for us to even squeeze out a quarter of an inch of rain, at least here in central and southern parts of Wisconsin. Northwestern parts of the state have a much better chance for picking up maybe a half an inch to an inch of rain over 7 days. Nearly 50% of the state now is underneath abnormally dry conditions, which is not bad, but again, we need that rain. We haven't seen any over the last 2 weeks, which is why our dry conditions have expanded. But as I mentioned, since the start of the year through the end of August, it's actually been Wisconsin's 4th wettest year on record. Dane County is the wettest county in the state, having a surplus of over 13 inches of additional rain that we would have not normally seen during the time frame of January through August. It's also one of Wisconsin's hottest years on record. We have a whole write-up about it with the latest Beyond the Barometer. So download the First Warned Weather app. Take it with you tomorrow because scattered showers and non-severe thunderstorms are expected to develop by the mid-afternoon hours and then last through the early evening hours on your Saturday. That continues into Sunday as well. But we remain dry all of next week with a couple rain chances there by that following weekend.
Welcome into week 4 of the Final Drive. I'm Zach Hanley alongside Andrew Banstra, and there was one game this week on paper that had the feel of a playoff game.
Yeah, Zach, a Big 8 battle between Verona and Memorial. Both teams undefeated and ranked in the top 5, and it takes center stage for our game of the week. The Spartans are coming off back-to-back impressive wins, super impressive wins. They went into Wanakee and left with a win and followed that up with another road win at Middleton.
Again, both very impressive feats, but now they face the back-to-back reigning Big 8 champs in Verona. Remember, the Wildcats haven't lost a conference game in 2 years. And this one was a defensive struggle. Memorial driving in the first. Owen Fiedler lofts one up in the end zone, and Kamari Norris says, I'll take that. Verona would turn the turnover into 3 points, and that Wildcat defense was far from done. Later in the half, it's Norris again with another INT. The Verona D had 2 picks and scored a touchdown in the first half. Then in the second half, more of the same. It's a fumble. Miles Dawkins dives on it. Verona shuts out Memorial. 10-0 the final. Now, Janesville Craig came into the night tied atop the Big 8 standings after their win last week, and they were looking to stay there. And it's kind of a good news, bad news situation for the Cougars.
The good news, they're at home. The bad news, their opponent, Middleton, is coming in angry after losing that heartbreaker last week to Memorial. Craig looking for their first win over Middleton since 2012. Scoreless in the first quarter, and Paul Platts isn't playing around. Rolls around and etches one into the end zone. That's a Cougar touchdown. Craig on the board. First play after that, we're going to get another touchdown. This time it is Middleton handing it off, putting it into the end zone. They would ride that ground game for a big-time offensive day. 35-26 the final. Middleton wins it.
Elsewhere in the Big 8, Wanakee stacks their second win in a row, 48-0. As for Sun Prairie East, the last score we had, they were up 41-0 over Fort Atkinson in the fourth quarter. Through 3 weeks, Milton has already equaled last year's win total, and the Red Hawks have no plans on stopping. They're playing stout defense, allowing under 7 points per game. And you know what, Andrew? They can score too.
They can certainly do that, but to get to 4-0, they'll have to get past Oregon. Now, the Panthers might still be looking for their first win of the year, but a play here, a play there, and it's a whole different ball game. End of the first half, Oregon looking to heave one. Ethan Pagels throws it, but it lands in the hands of Milton's Carter Thompson, denying Oregon the opportunity to score in that first half. But wait, there's more. Same situation, end of the second half, Milton leading at 12-7. New QB, and for Oregon, due to an injury, it's Peyton Soul under center, and the senior throws one that falls empty-handed. It was just that kind of game, a 5-round fight. It goes in the way of the Red Hawks. 12-7 is your final score. Milton wins it.
Elsewhere in the Badger Conference, Monona Grove goes into DeForest and leaves with a 31-24 win. And how about Mount Horeb? They just do what they do. The Vikings, very, very good again. They win 50-20 over Watertown.
Well, if it seems like every week in the SWAL there's a huge matchup, it's because there is. Darlington is usually involved when there is. The Redbirds bounced back after a big Week 2 loss and did it in a big way.
And now they welcome in an undefeated Southwestern East Dubuque team who's already had some pretty big wins this season, including knocking off Blackhawk Warren. But as they say, Darlington is Darlington, and Darlington was on the move in the first. Zeke Zuber-Buehler calls his own number, and that was a great idea. Zeke zips his way up and down the sidelines and in for the score. Redbirds go up 7-0. But that rushing attack wasn't done. Second quarter, they're knocking on the door, and Callum Christ busts it wide open to make it 13-6, and then later, like Mama says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's Callum Christ again. Darlington goes on to win 43-12.
Cambridge playing against Deerfield tonight. Cambridge just has such a good season, ranked 5th for a reason. They win it 48-0. Speaking of ranked teams, how about Partyville? It is a full-on party for the Bulldogs. They win it 42-0 over Fall River.
And there was a top 10 matchup in the Six Rivers Conference, but it's top-ranked Potosi Cassville coming home with the 20-18 win over River Ridge. And then how about Cuba City in another SWAL action? They shut out Mineral Point to win their 3rd straight game, 42-0. But Badgers, Bama, and Big Noon kickoff. What Wisconsin has to do to upset 4th-ranked Alabama, that's next.
News 3 Now First Warn Weather is brought to you by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
Discover a shopping and design experience as comfortable as the furniture. Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor. Schedule your free design consultation today.
Earn a 25-cent Hy-Vee fuel saver for every $50 this Saturday and Sunday. That's a 25-cent fuel saver for every $50 you spend in-store and online. Saturday and Sunday, only at Hy-Vee.
Save big money with these hot deals at Menards. All prices after 11% rebate. Autumn mums are just $3.99 each. 8 packs of LED light bulbs are just $1.99. 6 packs of Mountain Dew soda are $4.29. Era laundry detergent only $8.89. These hot deals won't last long. Hurry in before time runs out. Sign up for Menards emails to get more hot deals plus the weekly flyer right to your inbox.
Save big money at Menards.
Shop from the largest selection of Chevy trucks and SUVs in Wisconsin at Bergstrom Chevrolet. All with Bergstrom's negotiation-free upfront pricing, including our exclusive 7-day price protection and money-back guarantees. Stop in or shop and purchase at BergstromChevrolet.com.
I'm Matt, and I'm a former Trump voter. One of my biggest beefs with Donald Trump is that with him, anybody who doesn't agree with him is a radical, is a lunatic, is a leftist, a Marxist, a communist, somebody out to destroy America. I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris because I don't want to live in a world that's all about hatred and retribution and getting even with your neighbors and getting rid of people who are different from me.
Republican Accountability PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
You work hard enough. Take a load off this Labor Day with new appliances from Brothers Maine. Celebrate the holiday with unbeatable deals on top brands like GE Appliances, Cafe, Hotpoint, and Higher. Don't miss out. Shop the Labor Day sale at Brothers Maine today.
Quartz takes a different approach to health insurance. We know every life well lived is a journey, and we're here to light the way at every step. That's why for 40 years, we've been alongside the doctors and hospitals who know what their communities need. Because they're a part of them. Because we're a part of them. There's a fire burning in all of us. Let's ignite it together. Quartz. Find your spark.
There are over 21,000 Wisconsin veterans struggling to pay for rent and utilities.
Thank you for your service.
Many are also facing issues with their mental health.
Thank you for your service.
We must do more to help these heroes who have already sacrificed so much.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service.
Words simply aren't enough.
I'm sorry.
Make a difference by donating to this critical Wisconsin survival safety net today.
COVID-19 cases are on the rise. Get the updated COVID-19 vaccine at Hy-Vee. Schedule online today or just stop by any Hy-Vee pharmacy. No appointment necessary. Plus, get your flu shot and earn a 20-cent fuel saver. Only at Hy-Vee.
In case you haven't heard, there's a pretty big college football game on Saturday. For the first time since 1928, Alabama is coming to Madison. You remember that game, right? Wisconsin won it 15-0. But besides the Tide, Fox's big noon kickoff is also in town. And the big question all week has been, how can the Badgers knock off the fourth-ranked team in the nation? Well, former Ohio State head coach Urban Meyer has an idea.
Message, go win the damn game. They're good enough to win the game. It's home crowd. This was my favorite place to come coach when I was at Ohio State. I love Wisconsin. The fans are outstanding. The reality is something's got to happen on offense, so they've got to find a way to get some kind of explosive plays.
Everyone has a chance. That's why we play the game. You know what I mean? You got to kick the ball off, and you got to play the game. We've already seen a number of upsets already this college football season. I'm just hoping tomorrow's not one. You know what I mean?
Should mention Mark played for Alabama. Well, like earlier in the week, Jordan Love didn't practice today, but there was some positive news regarding Green Bay's QB1. The Packers have listed him as questionable against the Colts. Now, one guy who will be playing on Sunday, Jonathan Taylor. The former Badger will make his Lambeau Field debut, and he says he wants two things to happen this weekend. Number one, the Badgers to beat Bama, and number two, for him to find the end zone so he can jump in those stands.
I've been waiting for this one. Definitely hoping I get a Lambeau leap in. Hopefully I don't get anything poured on me. I've seen reports of that, but it's really going to be fun. Wisconsin should be one heck of a state to be in right now, especially Saturday. The Badgers have Bama coming into town, so it should be pretty lively.
And we're back after this.